All right, and of course, those stories that we've run for you will form the basis of our discussion this morning. It's a big day also in Parliament today. And we want also to drill deeper on that particular ticklish issue about the impeachment of Raila Odinga, should he win, of course, the upcoming presidential election, and he's in Parliament. Allow me to introduce to you our guest. If you missed this at the top of the hour, we have with us lawyer Miguna. We do have with us Dr. Agnes Zani, who is the Secretary General of the ODM, and also we do have with us Kimani Mwatangi, who is a Senator of Kiambu, eagerly waiting also for Honorable Mutahi Kagwe to join us momentarily, who is a former Senator of Nyeri. Good morning, gentlemen and lady.
Good morning.
Morning.
Right, let's just begin with what was happening yesterday, and of course that is a splash that we have on the front page of the Daily Nation before we drill deeper to what the President said yesterday from State House. IEBC, in its current formation, of course they were on a retreat, and it seems they've come to a happy medium right now as far as the internal wrangles were concerned. So we can see that they're promising to give us a credible election so far. Let's begin with you, Miguna.
Thank you, Debal. It is quite shocking, the kind of farcical games that are taking place both at the IEBC and at the political stage. Basically, the Supreme Court said Chebukati, Cheloba, and their team are electoral fraudsters. The Supreme Court said they deliberately planned and perpetrated an electoral fraud of extensive proportions. And it is very clear from what has been choreographed at the so-called Great Rift Valley Lodge, or whatever it is, which, ironically, is a property owned by President Uhuru Kenyatta's family. So that's the irony, is that you have an electoral fraud that has been perpetrated and that has been nullified by the Supreme Court, and the body that committed those illegalities then goes on a retreat to a property owned by one of the contestants. Then a day after the so-called retreat comes out and says that everything is okay. There was a memo, an extensive memo, that this buffoon called Chebukati, I don't want to call him Chairman Chebukati, because he's become a buffoon.
Did you think
wrote, no, I'm going to speak because this man has turned the country upside down. More than 100 billion Kenya shillings has been lost in the stock exchange. The people's lives have come to a standstill. The people's will have been overturned because of electoral fraud that they committed. In a sense, what I'm saying is that...
But his buffoonery is yet to be investigated.
No,
so
no, he's a buffoon. He was a second respondent, and the court has found as fact that he committed illegalities. And the court found as fact that these illegalities were committed deliberately. So that's already settled. What we are waiting for are just reasons for the orders. But the orders have already been rendered. So we know what the verdict of the court is. This running around that the media is doing from what the court has done is shameful. The court has already spoken and has already ordered. Now, what we expected, at the very least, number one, was that Chebukati and his buffoons were going to open up the IEBC servers for a complete, comprehensive forensic audit.
Yes.
They have not done that. The buffoons were going to present the Kim's kits for forensic audit. They have not done that. The buffoons were going to resign because they have been indicted by the Supreme Court. Anywhere else in the world, these guys would be gone, would be history, and would be facing charges. In Kenya, the media has been playing games with us the same way they did on August 8th. The media knew there was no election. The media knew that the figures that were being dangled on TV screens starting on the 7th of August were fake. The media knew that the so-called results, the so-called numbers that were being reminded every day by characters like William Ruto, people, demagogues who should not occupy public office, and I'm going to call him a demagogue on live TV, because he is. are now telling us that the people's will were overturned by Wakoras. There is no Mkora worse than William Ruto in the Republic of Kenya. He has been accused, even at the ICC, of very serious crimes. He's been indicted in local courts by the High Court for stealing people's property, which he has confessed to, and he has returned land that he has stolen. This is not a man that should be lecturing us on anything. But yet, the media is all over the place saying that, oh, there is a brokered peace and whatnot. Peace over what? Has Chebukati received a response to his memo, the so-called memo, that you guys reported very gloriously in the past two days? No. But instead, William Ruto told us 2 days ago that Chiloba has responded. And yesterday, when I saw this man looking timid, looking completely out of his wits, saying that we have met, we have reached a deal, blah, blah, blah. On the one hand, saying that he has received a response which he has not published, and on the other, saying that he has not. We do not want games. If this buffoon and his group cannot resign and cannot open up the IEBC infrastructure for forensic audit, there should and will be no election. Mm-hmm. Yes, all right. That is my assessment.
Okay, do you think it's in order to actually use that derogatory terms as Miguna is using buffoon? Why should we call him buffoon? Yes?
Let me say what I needed to say. And I want to pick it up from the issue of servers. You know, when Chebukati says that we will now solely focus on the preparation of 17th, it's not like there's no history. There's a history. And the realities of the past inform the truth or the presence of what will happen in the future. And that memo was very, very definite and very, very categorical. Mm-hmm. And there's absolutely no way we can wish the issues away. We were not subject, or the issues of what was discussed was a closed door, so we're not privy to what exactly went on and what deliberations were finally made. But clearly, the issues that were raised in that memo are very, very key, and they haven't been addressed. The issues that have been raised by IEBC itself, because that memo came from Chebukati to Chiloba. So it was issues in IEBC itself. The issues of scanning machines, for example, that was missing in the polling station. The issues of instructions that were given for 34As from 1,000 polling stations that were not really put out clearly. The issue of satellite phones and the cost of 848 million that was used for this, and they were not distributed. The issues of security features, and that's why for the 34As, there's absolutely knowing where those forms actually came from. And the Constitution and Article 86 had been very, very clear. And if the Commission had done what was expected of it, it shouldn't have been a problem. When we're talking about the economy, when we're talking about the problems we're in, the problems are because of what IEBC, how the IEBC conducted this election. And they had a choice to conduct it in a different way. And you remember, even during the preparation, there was a lot of discussion from the stakeholders, ideas, suggestions being made about how they should go about it. And most of these were pushed aside. Most of these, they kept saying, we're independent, we don't want to listen to anybody, this is the way we're going to do things. And then finally, it creates a problem. The problem, for example, of KIMS. Where were the KIMS kit? From where did they transmit? From where the GPS addresses from which these KIMS kits transmitted? Were they centrally located somewhere and then they transmitted? What was the security of the KIMS kit even before? Where were they put? They should have been put somewhere centrally so that people know exactly what is happening. The issue of the logins. And in that memo, names were mentioned of people who logged in more than 1,000 times using Chebukati's own password. So all the 9,000 times, more than 9,000 times. So we're talking, Dibal, about a grave situation. It's not a question of saying, now here we are okay, let's move forward. That in everybody's mind, and I'll tell you now, the psyche of the people is like, what for? You know, how do we know things won't be repeated again? After all, it's the same players, and clearly they're not going to change tact. So unless, and this is what we said earlier, let the process be open, transparent, so that if there's any question, it can be raised properly. The issue of the servers, up to now, the servers have not been opened. The issue that I remember Marehemu Msando talking about in this studio, talking about and explaining to us that nothing would go wrong with the election because there would be no transmission possible without the scanned 34A. And that was the confidence that people had, that actually, if if we have a situation, because the key thing is very simple, Dibal. It's very, very simple. From each of those 40,883 polling stations, we must know what was the choice of the people. Somebody might want to be the president, and we had in those various clips, everybody will request to be the president. You don't become the president because you want to be the president. You become the president because people want you to be a president. And that's why you're going into that election. And the will of those people need to be respected. That will is manifested by these people coming to the polling station, voting for you, that record being put, that form being transmitted and going to the constituency, tabulations being done, and the 290 adding it up all up. Can IEBC do this on the 17th? Can they do it in this way that is expected?
All right.
It's highly doubtful.
All right, let's hear from Senator Kimani Matangi, because that particular memo, the Chebukati memo, really underscored the undercurrents that is within IEBC right now. And given the particular 2 days that they've had as a retreat in Naivasha, do you think that is just pulling wool over our eyes to just show us that actually they're putting their house in order, but truly that particular happy medium has not been reached so far?
Well, Dibal, I first want to say good morning to our viewers this Tuesday morning, and also salute the IEBC now that they confess they have started to see the light. I mean, well, it's okay for them to report that they have now found a way to work together. Yes, that is okay. But I think it is also important that really as leaders, we need to remind IEBC that they are not a political party. They are not part of a civil society. I mean, their work is very clearly cut out in the Constitution. And so in the first place, yes, this drama about infighting, about what has no place in what their constitutional mandate is. And I would be very surprised to hear the chairman talking about finding a brokering peace amongst themselves, and even to my amusement that they need the church to come and guide them on what to do. I mean, that's
and a motivational speaker.
That is completely out of question and context. I want to say very clearly that IEBC must realize, and we are happy for them if they can find a way, and they should find a way to start working together. But it should not be lost on them that they owe Kenyans the delivery of elections on the 17th of October as required by the ruling that was given by the Supreme Court. And all along 7 months, now 8 months down the line, since when they took their jobs, as of today, they must know what their jobs are. Now, when they talk of infighting, the question that comes to my mind is, are they saying that because by infighting they imply that they've been speaking from both ends of the mouth, and especially like for Chebukati, has he disowned the memo that he was releasing, veiled as a memo, but definitely intended for other purposes, to send and release probably issues that he may have intended for other purposes other than being a memo to inform. I mean, are they saying, for example, that they are speaking from different ends or reasoning because they carry different aspirations or different instructions? For example, Chebukati must, I agree, fine, let them go on, but they must get real. We want elections on the 17th. They have to know what their constitutional mandate is. We are in no mood or time for these small dramas that they're trying to bring about. We're expecting elections. And, in furtherance to some of those issues as raised, it's also important for us to acknowledge some of the facts that you can't run away from, that the IEBC is also operating under very difficult circumstances. For example, after the ruling of the Supreme Court, because, by the Supreme Court expressly saying in that decision that the IEBC themselves committed irregularities, they put them in an extremely difficult position, because first they say they committed irregularities, then they order and mandate them to deliver elections while having compromised their standing socially and in perspective. Because, I mean, once you can imagine the importance that Kenyans hold elections in, and then the Supreme Court goes ahead, first disparages the body that is supposed to deliver these elections, and then within a period of 60 days order them come up with a clean, credible election. And so we also must acknowledge that they're operating from a very, very difficult position. So, but fast forward, moving forward, we must say to them that yes, all that drama must be behind them. We are not going to entertain all those sideshows. Nobody will. Nobody in Kenya will accept that. Mm-hmm. We're expecting them to go to take us to the elections, put things in place. We want to go cast our votes. We want to go give the man that we had given the job rightfully in this country, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, his job back properly, credibly, and we did so even credibly then, but now we even want to do it even much more so that we can ensure that this drama that's wasting a lot of time is over. Right. Let me just mention a little bit on some of the issues as raised by Miguna.
Right, because we need to take a short break.
Yes.
Do you mind just holding on that so that we can...
Yeah. A very quick one, in a second. Because, some of the things that were said by Miguna, really, and I'm mindful of the headlines on the nation that some of our colleagues are in for hate speech. But I think it is also important that in this forum, another forum, when we are saying things, we be guided and led and informed by fact, and to say things that we are sure about, so that we just don't say things that either deride character, assassinate character, and really some of it insult people without fact. Some of the things that he's talked about, thieves, about what, about. I think we need to be careful. I don't want to dwell in that because it's really not my line of thinking and how I articulate my issues.
Right, thank you.
But I think it's important that...
All right, before we take a short break, let's just hear from Senator Mutahi Kagwe. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Deba, and good morning to the viewers. I think, Deba, the important thing for us to do is we can dwell on the past forever. We, on the Jubilee side, are angry, at the ruling that was made. Mm-hmm. But we are civilized enough to appreciate that anger is not a reason for not accepting, what has been made. But having said that, I think it should be clear that Chebukati has a responsibility, and he cannot pass the buck, to all and sundry. This is what happened here, this is what happened. When you are the chief executive of an institution, you take responsibility for what happens to the institution. This is a management issue to me. And I do not see actually why such a big deal is being made out of a management problem. Because essentially that is what it is. And I think that moving forward, I like the fact that they are saying that they are coming together. It's a pity that the church has to get there so that they can get together, so that they can start doing their job. I mean, if the church had to intervene with every institution, that is around the country that has got issues or that has got quarrels within itself, then they would stop preaching and start dealing with, management issues. So I think that it's a failure on his part, the fact that his institution is not working in a streamlined manner. But we must remember that Chebukati is the one who was there. He is the one who was managing that process. He is the one who saw the affidavit. He is the one who announced all these results. So there is no way he can start saying that if there was a problem, the problem was caused by X and the problem was caused by Y. You take responsibility and say, I take responsibility if there were shortcomings. But having said that, the details of the problem have not really been given to us, as it were, because the court made a decision, promised that they are going to give us, within the judgment, they will give us the details of what transpired and why it was necessary not to order a recount and to order a new fresh election. So personally, I still don't know why. Right? I still don't know, and therefore I'm unable, moving forward to say this is the reason why this was done.
All right, thank you. Of course, also the Parliament will be scheduled to open formally today. And we'll be looking at that as well today. How will it pan out, of course, with some of the statements that were rolling off the tongue of the president yesterday in State House as far as impeachment of Raila Odinga, if he becomes the president, is concerned as well. We'll be drilling deeper on this on the raft of other issues on the other side of a break. Don't go away. Minutes to 7 o'clock on the nose, and of course you are watching Decision 2017. Of course, we are looking at people and politics, and the 12th Parliament is scheduled to open formally today with a keynote address by President Uhuru Kenyatta, but National Super Alliance has vowed to boycott the sitting on the ground that President Kenyatta does not have the legitimacy to preside over such a national function since his election was overturned, and he is therefore acting on the basis of temporary incumbency, which limits his powers. Opinion is divided, but the reason for the boycott cannot be justified. Precisely, it is an extension of a vicious and intractable tussle between the opposition and the ruling Jubilee Party. It is part of the game of brinkmanship and shows how polarized the politics is. This is bad for the national politics and bad for the country. The tragedy is that this parliament promises to be rancorous, and that means no sober debate will come out of the House. Debates are likely to be determined on the basis of party or coalition interests rather than national importance. Already Jubilee is flaunting its numerical strength and threatening to use it to challenge laws and do things as it deems fit. President Kenyatta has unequivocally declared that should he or his arch-rival Raila Odinga win Jubilee, he will invoke his parliamentary might to impeach him. Well, certainly that is wild thinking and scaremongery, but it underlines the deep-seated hatred and evil machinations across the political landscape. And of course, we continue with our panelists here on People and Politics, looking and drilling deeper on this and a raft of other issues as well. Before we took a short break, we were looking at the preparedness of IEBC. Right now, we seem to be coming to a happy medium as far as they're concerned with the internal wrangles so far. And I'm holding court this morning with Dr. Agnes Zani, who's the Secretary General of ODM. Also, Senator. And also we do have Miguna Miguna. He is a doctor. Dr. Miguna is a consummate lawyer. We have also with us Mutahi Kagwe. Mutahi Kagwe is the former Senator of Nyeri, and also we do have with us Kimani Mwatangi, the Senator of Kiambu. Let's continue a pace with this conversation and just hear from Miguna, because we heard from Kimani Mwatangi is asking,
yes,
since now this particular memo was out, we've not got a rejoinder or a reply from Chiloba so far. So what does that mean? Will it just gloss over all those issues that were raised?
You see, the problem with Kenya is that at all significant levels, whether it is in the public space occupied by politicians or public officers, or occupied by the media or punditry, they try to inflict artificial amnesia on the Kenyan people. Let me remind the country that Cheloba and Chebukati and the rest of the commission and the secretariat worked together to commit an electoral fraud. So it's not like they were not working together. So this idea that there was conflict or wrangles within the commission is not true. We saw Chebukati stand on the 11th of August and announce fake results to the country. We also watched in amazement, and I was here, and I raised the red flag. I was here with you, Debal.
Yes.
When the figures were being played on the TV screens, and I remember asking you, where are these things coming from? Why is this graph not zigzag? Those were my words. Why is it a straight line? And I remember not getting an answer. The media up to today have not come out openly and acknowledged that the figures they were getting from the IB servers, and that somebody was feeding them with fake numbers. So those are very important things. So these people work together to commit illegalities and they are continuing to work together to perpetuate a fraud on the Kenyan people. And we must tell them that we know what they are doing and that this time we are not going to let them continue to do so. Now, IEBC is not Chebukati and Cheloba. This is the mistake that the media and pundits make. When the court ordered that the IEBC should do fresh and not a rerun, not a runoff, fresh presidential elections within 60 days, they did not say Cheloba and Chebukati. They said the IEBC. It's like saying the Nation Media Group should publish an apology in tomorrow's paper with respect to allegations they made against Miguna. You are not talking about the BAL, you are not talking about the CEO, you are talking about the Nation Media Group. The BAL would come and go, the same way Chebukati would come and go. IEBC remains as a constitutional body. So when the court spoke about the IEBC, they did not say it is Cheloba and Chebukati that must run these elections. Having declared that they had committed illegalities, it is assumed by intelligent people that the court intended to send a signal that these people who have deliberately committed crimes should not be the ones running an election. Decent people would have vacated immediately. But these guys are not decent. Probably they have eaten too much. Probably they have eaten and they're being threatened. We don't really care. The fact is, we paid them to do a fresh, transparent, fair, and credible election, and they did not. Now, the last point. My brother said that this is a management issue. This is not a management issue. This is a criminal issue. Somebody has committed a crime, and we cannot misrepresent that as a management issue. And it's also an indictment on ethics of these characters that are running public office. I've said, and I'm going to repeat, the problem with Kenya is not that we lack institutions. It's not that we lack laws. It's not that we lack a constitution. What we lack are men and women of integrity running public office. The time has come when we must tell Kenyans, elect only men and women of integrity and do not condone a situation where crooks get into office, appoint fellow crooks so that they can inflict fraud on our people. And yes, I will use the word thieves. The English are very precise. They coined the word thief to describe somebody who steals. And this electoral theft was committed by thieves.
All right, Dr. Zani, also this position that is being advanced by Miguna that yes, the entire electoral body, as was pronounced by the judgment, that they should hold another election. It's the body. Do we have also the luxury of time? Because it seems if the whole, the entire commission, if they go home, then we're actually left with a constitutional crisis, because the president right now, with a temporal incumbency, cannot appoint commissioners. He doesn't have the powers to.
I think it's never about time. Many times, I think it's about process. It's about the right thing being done, and it's about putting systems in place. Because you could conduct this election tomorrow if you want. So if we find again linear regression graph happening, and this is going to be worse with the hindsight that now Kenyans are alert and they're looking out and they already have an idea of how things can be done. And everybody has a conspiracy theory and reality that has been put into the ground. Dibal, you cannot explain where you cannot have randomness. You cannot, in reality, have a situation where you don't have variation. A linear regression that we're talking about predicts y
regression
over
analysis.
an x. So if you have a y and you have a y is equal to a plus bx, once you vary x automatically, the y will be systematic. It will give you a linear regression. And it's impossible. Now we have people who are not even trying to explain that. You see, this is the problem. We don't have a situation where these questions are being put out. You know, we like rhetoric. We go back to our comfort zones. Oh, you know, it's a management problem. Oh, you know, we cannot change the commission. We should ask and get answers. Why do we have a linear regression? Explain that to us. Why do we have servers that are not opened? Explain that to us. Why do we have servers, for example, that we cannot be be able to scrutinize. After all, this election is meant to be open. Let's scrutinize that. Let's look at the possibility of algorithms that were used for the various candidates. Let's look at that. We have statisticians, we have technicians who can come on board and be able to answer these questions. If we don't answer these questions, it doesn't matter. If we don't answer these questions and find a way of addressing these questions, then nothing will ever change, because we'll get back to the same things. We'll go back to the issue of the server, look at the server, and look at, for example, the logins that are there.
Yes.
That should be able to solve. Some people are talking about opening up the ballot boxes. Why would anybody trust that these ballot boxes, where we don't know where they have been all this time, we don't know whether more stuffing has been done? Clearly, the elections in Kenya now are not about who wins and who loses. It's about who can look for what systems to put into place for them to win, no matter what. And that's where the problem lies. Because actually elections are about a will of the people. And if we have right now a commission that has had various histories, for example, we're asking, let us hope now they can see the light. The question becomes, why did they see the light before? What makes us think that within a week they will suddenly see the light and that they will do things differently? Hold on, Dibal. It's the same personalities who will probably do things in the same way if they are doing these things under specific instructions. Who tells you that these instructions will suddenly change? Those instructions will go. If the issue is infighting, for example, then it's the same personalities who will continue to go through the exact same situation. And the problem then becomes a Kenyan problem, because we have laws that are very, very specific, even that talk about prosecution. This is a criminal liability. If we're talking about irregularities that have happened and illegalities, illegalities means breaking the law. We have sanctions for breaking the law that we are not able to put into place. So what are we talking about? We're talking about whether they do it again or not. We're not sure what will happen, you know. So we want to be able to really specify what it means to be real. What if they don't get real? What if they don't actually, because they're able to get away? And this is the problem of our penal system here in Kenya. Somebody makes a mistake, they're able to get back. Somebody makes a mistake, there's a protection. So then you cannot keep doing the same thing. So especially when it comes to elections, once you have to have very, very able officers who are able to conduct that, but two, people who can stand up and say, this is right, this is wrong. We're not seeing this from the IEBC. Right. We're seeing a chair who today says one thing and tomorrow says a completely opposite thing, and we're not sure what the changes are, why the changes are coming and where they're coming from. But last also, to emphasize again, because it keeps coming up, the court made the decision that the commission must conduct a repeat of this election. They did not specify the commission and the type of commission. It would have been expected that certain changes would have been able to take place. It's about getting the confidence of the Kenyan. Remember, you're getting Kenyan out to go and vote.
Thank you.
That Kenyan must be confident that I will vote and my vote will count the way it is expected to count. So
right.
More transparency systems have to be put into place, more details have to be put into place, and we're not sure this team can do this.
All right.
They haven't been able to do it before.
Right.
Why would they do it
system,
now?
of course, this is predicated on systems, and we know also from the judgment that, yeah, the IEBC were given orders to open the servers. They starkly denied that. And I think no one is really talking about this. So I'm tend to wonder, as a Kenyan, here I'm left, if this public institution starkly denies to open the servers,
It's a court order.
It is a court.
It's a court order.
It is a court. Yes, it is a court order. It starkly denies to open.
Why?
Right. Are we just closing over that? Then we move on to the next general election. So
and refuse to open again.
What will be the recourse then? Let's say from
cite them for contempt, which NASA has disappointed me. They are still dilly-dallying, and they have not moved to court to cite these guys for contempt.
So now we'll just gloss over this and move on to the next general election, because let's say from Senator Kagwe.
I don't think that is what should happen. I think that one of the things that is important is that when we move into the next balloting day, I think it is very important for everybody to be comfortable. Yes. And I think that the space must be created where there is no suspicion, and transparency is the name of the game. It is the only way that we can have a credible election. And for us, it is so important that that happens, because when we win, we want to win with a clear, with transparency.
Yes.
We want to see those 4 million votes are there, they are accountable, and everybody can see them. So there is this presumption, being floated around, that it is the Jubilee side that does not want transparency in the election. That is nonsense. We want to have a very transparent and clear election. Now, the interplays within the IEBC are not a Jubilee. They're not a Jubilee issue. Those are IEBC issues. And IEBC is an independent institution. So if they are having their own problems and they're having their own quarrels, I don't think that should be attributed to the government. It is the government that is causing these IEBC issues. It's their own internal issues, and we are as concerned as the next person, as NASA would be, because it is just as important for us that Chebukati or whoever is in IEBC, and I agree, it is IEBC, not necessarily Chebukati. I agree that it is IEBC that should deliver to Kenyans a transparent election, whatever happens. And Diba, I'm glad that your own paper is saying that they are meeting today with all the parties concerned. They are meeting with NASA. They are meeting with Jubilee. And my hope and prayer is that in between those meetings, all the issues that we are debating here will be resolved.
But from your own judgment, do you think they are credible enough, them holding a skunk, which is very pivotal, that yes, they did not really open the servers and everything was predicated on that particular server because of a transmission. So if they come from a retreat and they tell us, oh, yes, we've resolved our issues, yet they've not really addressed the pertinent issues that were actually raised from that particular memo. So are we just being taken for a ride as Kenyans?
I don't think so. I think, as I said earlier, I think that everything must be done, whether it is the servers, whether it is the ballot papers, whatever it is. To my mind, everything must be done to ensure that everybody is comfortable with the next elections, irrespective of how uncomfortable it is. In any case, Diba, I don't even know why that is a big issue, because the server is not what is going to help us in the next election.
But it's a big issue because from the timelines, they're saying they're going to upgrade their systems, right? So are they going to upgrade the legalities that will actually maybe also domicile in that particular server? What are they going to upgrade from? We need to know from what system are they upgrading from, first of all, if we had a flawed system in the first place, isn't it?
Well, if we had a flawed system, then it should be upgraded and it should be checked. But it must be done in such a manner. Whatever they do, they must do it in such a manner that every party participating in the election is happy with what has been done. That's really the issue. You know, what was in the server or what was not in the server, I think now has been overtaken by events.
Really? Which event?
Yeah, by the fact that we are repeating the election anyway. Even if you want us to do it manually and forget about the server and we do it count one by one, we will do it and we will still win. The issue here, the issue here, Diba, is this:
exuberance.
We are going to win.
That is called irrational exuberance.
Whatever English expression is used. By the end of the day, what matters is this: who wins and who loses, in accordance with Kenyans. You know, who do Kenyans vote for and who do Kenyans are not voting for. It's clear. But there is nothing else that matters. You know, Muguna can go on and on and on about these issues.
Thank you. But let's say from
it depends on the winner.
Fantastic. Let's hear from Matangi. You think, in the spirit of transparency, Senator Kagwe is saying we move on, right? Because the election has been declared null and void anyway. But in the spirit of transparency, we do not know what is happening within or what happened in those servers as well. So should we just move on?
Maybe the starting point, Dibal would be first to find out from NASA, because they're the ones who have asked for these servers to be opened consistently. And the first question would be, what do they expect to find in the servers? They were opened. If they want more opening, they will. But the question to start with is, let them tell the country that this is what we expect to find. And then in furtherance, they can say, because after they opened, this is what we are looking for specifically in those servers. And then they can further their argument that once we find this, then we would also pray, for example, like Senator Kagwe is saying, that then open also the ballot boxes. We want to juxtapose the two and see what's in the servers and what's in the ballot boxes. But you see, at the end of the day, you remember the argument that I made here last time, and it is the true fact of matters in retrospect, that what happened and the matters, the complaints that were raised by NASA in court is actually is a furtherance of a plot they initiated themselves. Because, you see, all along, and this, I said last time, I will repeat again, has not been lost on the minds of Kenyans. There was no one time in the entire period when we prepared for the elections in 2017 August that NASA was ever ready for those elections. They never said they were. They actually tried every trick in the book, including going to court numerously, hustling IEBC itself out of office at that time, knowing there was even no time for the other new commissioners to prepare adequately, which now they have become a beneficiary of. I mean, because you hustle the former IEBC out and all the commissioners, knowing that it is 7 months to the general election. You have new commissioners. They're supposed to prepare as per the constitution, actually. They're supposed to have been there not less than 6 months before. Then when they come in, you expect them to run this election. They become beneficiaries of it. But now, at this particular time, when they brought in their own gimmicks that they played out there in the field and made them complaints, they benefit from it. So the question here would be, what do they expect to find in the servers? Lastly, Dibal, you know, on this debate that we are having about invalidation, about whether the president is on a temporary incumbency or what. I mean, this is a position that you take depending on how you look at it. But there is absolutely no basis in law along which you can base such an argument. Of course, I mean, I don't want to bring up the debate. We have had it here before. Yes. I've watched it here severally from different points of views from lawyers, whether the president, after the invalidation of an election, as opposed to upholding and overturning an election. Because, you know, you can uphold that an election process went on, but then the results were this way, then you overturn those elections, then you would say that this president will be an incumbent president. But once you invalidate, you're saying that there's no election. But my final point that I would want to make is this. You know, let's remind NASA, with all these arguments that they have been making from every rooftop, that the court did not say at any one time in its decision that Raila won the election. It never said so. He did not win. And so this argument that let's go there, open the servers, let's go and, I mean, they're not looking for extra ballots which were in the servers. But if they had an argument, if NASA had an argument that they even imagined themselves that Raila had won the elections, they would have started from the starting point itself, that is at the polling station, and they would have volunteered their own evidence and said, this is the data we collected, these are copies of our Form 34As, this is the total sum that we have.
Thank you.
And so this is the total number of our vote, of the vote of our man. So he won.
Just a moment.
You see,
I'll give you that opportunity
so they know they never won the election, and they cannot even try to make that argument.
To clarify something.
All right, thank you. We'll come to you.
You said I wanted us to sweep it under the carpet. I did not say that.
Yes.
I did not say that we forget completely what has happened and therefore we just move ahead. I did not say that. I said let us look at whatever we need to look at. But the important thing is this. The important thing is that the next elections must be one that does not have the same issues that we are talking about. That's my basic point.
If we tackle the issues. But you see, it will have the same issues if the same issues are not tackled right now. Just a moment, Dr. Zani, because Senator Wamatangi says that what do you expect, especially as NASA, from the servers? But she's raised a point here that, yes, a regression analysis was used.
You know, it's not even a question of what you expect from the servers. The court order has said, open the servers. No. The Constitution says they were not. What they gave was a partial read-only version. They actually printed off something and they did not open the servers. Now, the servers do things. They show the clear algorithms over time, and they also show the logins. Logins cannot be cancelled. So if, for example, somebody stepped in, and I think that partial analysis is what showed all these illegal logins. If you have nothing to hide, if you go out and say, you know, we had won before, we are the ones who have taken it, why would you stop that process? You would be confident to do exactly that. And the narrative should never be changed. I think when we speak, we must speak, not give partial truth. When we talk about that it is NASA that hustled the IEBC out, there was a context for that. It was about avoiding this same situation we were in. We were busy telling IEBC we need to do this and this to enhance the transparency. We weren't just saying, IEBC, we don't want you, go. We were actually trying to avoid the situation we are in. So you cannot say that we are the ones who didn't want IEBC, we wanted them to be hustled out, we're not ready for elections. How can you say you're not ready for elections? We know we won this election. So how do you say you are not ready for the election? The people came out in large numbers to actually vote. Why don't you respect the will of the people? We cannot have an institution subvert the will of the people, and that's what we don't want to happen. So for as long as these systems are not into place, Dibal, and again, back to the point that I made, if you have no worry about the servers, for example, because the servers obviously are showing, they will show very funny things. They will show algorithms across the various candidates, if not all the candidates. They will show tinkering. Why were logins that were not authorized done? Why were logins that were not, why would somebody want to log in or have logins that were not authorized? To do what? With instructions from whom? And those are the questions we're asking, and this can be repeated. So we want simply to open the servers to see what happened. How did people vote? We've got nothing to lose with that, because it's an open process.
We'll come to you. Let's say
we want to look at and say, is it clear that there's a line, no variation? We want to know that.
Let me make my comment.
We're going sequentially. We'll come to you.
Let me make let me make my comment. It's like somebody has stolen my property.
Yes.
So you come to my my compound, you steal TV set, and people see you steal it and you get away. You happen to be known, they chase after you, and they come to your home, but you've already hidden it in the house. Then you come out and say, show me where I hid it. Well, how do I know where you hid it? All I know is that you stole my TV, and you are seen stealing it. So it's not about the thief now saying, show me where I hid it. The fact is, no, let me finish. You already made your comment. The court was clear. We are not going to revisit this. Only a court of law finds facts. The court has found as a fact that there were a litany of irregularities and illegalities that not only included the transmission, but the entire electoral process, that contravened almost all provisions of the Constitution and electoral laws, and as a result, led to the invalidation and nullification of the result. So it's not just somebody saying, I'm now president because no election happened. The question is, why are you a president, a lame duck president, outside the time that you are supposed to be? Because there were electorals as a version of the people's will. Who benefited from it? I did. So you can't sit there and say that because you benefited from a theft, therefore you have all the powers to do whatever. But let me say this. My friend said that they need transparency. And I'm not in NASA. I'm not in Jubilee. I stood as an independent candidate. And I'm still very independent and objective. All I'm pursuing is fairness and justice. So they say we need transparency in these elections. So why are you opposing the opening of the servers? Why would you want an opaqueness that the court has already said raises questions about the credibility of this election? Yet, unlike the ballot boxes, which may contain stuffed ballots and you would not know when they were stuffed, the server has electronic footprints of everything that everybody has done. So there will be records of logs, there will be records of access, there will be records of deletions, there will be records of purging, there will be records of postings, there will be records of everything. And this is the system that would show what was transmitted from the polling station to the National Tallying Center and the Constituency Tallying Center. It would also show what was transmitted or not transmitted from the Constituency Tallying Center to the National Tallying Center. Debal, let me tell you today, I have here Form 34A, yes, that is supposed to have been in the polling station, that is supposed to be with the IEBC. And I have many of them, even Form 37A, 39A, 38A. There are so many. These things are floating all over. It just demonstrates, I just want to demonstrate to you the problem with the IEBC. As presently constituted, the IEBC cannot run credible elections. Now, did the court say that President Uhuru Kenyatta won the election? No, the court did not say that. In fact, the court said the contrary. The court said he did not win. The court invalidated the artificial win that Chebukati announced. So the court did not have to say Raila Odinga won. The court simply said, because the declaration was not that Raila Odinga won, Chebukati declared that Uhuru Kenyatta won. The court said, no, you have not produced evidence that he won. Let me give you an example, a very short example.
Very briefly before
a student cheats in an examination, or students cheat in an examination at a center. The National Examination Council invalidates those results. Then the students and their parents say, no, you cannot invalidate the results because my child got an A. Well, the National Examination Council said the A was not legitimately obtained. This person cheated. So how do you go back and say, open the marking scheme, open the scripts?
Thank you.
The fact is, the only body with authority to determine objectively and judicially what happened during this electoral process is the Supreme Court.
Thank you.
And it has brought its verdict.
Thank you. Senator Kagwe, let's see from you, because it seems also from that particular determination from the court, we were left groping as a country, because it invalidated, of course, the win of President Uhuru Kenyatta and gave orders to IEBC to conduct another fresh election. But we were not told if this is a current body, the IEBC, with the commissioners and the secretariat, are the people who are credible enough to carry out this election. Should we have gotten maybe a direction?
I think there are two things. First and foremost, I want to go back to what my colleague Miguna said just now, that the court in its ruling did not say that Uhuru Kenyatta won, which is the truth. However, the court did say in its ruling that they do not hold Uhuru Kenyatta responsible for any of the mistakes that were made in the whole electoral process. And I think that that is a very important
because
part of this.
Because he did not run the election.
Exactly. He did not run the election. He was not responsible for whatever might have happened. Whether the irregularities favored Raila Odinga or whether the irregularities favored Uhuru Kenyatta is a matter of debate and conjecture, and will go on forever and ever.
Yes.
You know, in this process.
He was the one declared, so it favored him.
It did not favor him.
He was the one declared.
The court ruling did not favor President Uhuru Kenyatta.
No, I'm saying
the winning
by IEBC.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
just let him finish his point, please.
You know, Miguna is bullying.
No, I'm just saying the IEBC declared. I'm not.
Stop me. Okay, thank you. Carry on. All right, carry on then.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make, and I think the point to be made here is this. I think that in all this process, trying to allocate mistakes, you know, to the president is wrong. Because he is not the one who was conducting this election. I am convinced, personally, that it was not in his interest for any mistake to be made because he won the election.
That is clear. But the question is, this. Do you think the court, in its ruling, should have given more direction, right, as the constitution of the IEBC right now, currently the way it is, even it's credible?
No, it is not the court's place. It is
the court already did.
It is not the court's. It is not the court's place to tell the IEBC
right now
how they should organize or disorganize themselves.
But you must appreciate the fact that everyone is groping in the dark right now.
Because Kenyans meander. Because you guys like meandering. The court came out with a very clear order. But instead of you reading the order and digesting it the way normal people in the world would, you are meandering like a normal Kenyan. Stop meandering.
No. You can't just
the
tell us.
The court has given an order. The court's illegality. How do you want the court to be clearer than saying there were illegalities committed and they have identified who committed it? What else do you need?
No, just a moment. No, you can't just use
but
a
I'm
brush.
saying what else do you need?
No, let him clarify to us. Just a moment.
No, but
We'll
you
come to
jumped in before also.
We're coming to you.
You keep on jumping and don't
All
complain.
right, maybe I should throw this to Amatangi. What is saying that Kenyans collectively are meandering? I think it is very unfair to use a
But
very
you're
broad
meandering right now.
brushstroke to
But
just...
you are.
No.
That's what you're doing. Your
What-
question is meandering.
What do you mean it's meandering?
It says illegalities and irregularities. What else do you want the court to tell you?
So we...
Instead of...
No.
But you get the answer.
Just a moment. Kenyans, we are collectively...
Stop meandering.
He's a bully beef, you know. Yeah, he's a bully. He's bullying me right away. Okay. Senator Matangi. He says that we are meandering.
Please don't,
So if...
don't ask me to answer to Leguna's meandering himself, because he's the one who is meandering. I mean, you see, let's stick to the discussion and to the debate, and then we can arrive at a conclusion that's logical. You know, first, I like what Senator Kagwe was driving at, and I wish he was let to finish his thoughts, because he had a very good line that he was pursuing. But this man of meandering he can never let anyone finish. You know, yeah. But you know,
okay,
two points.
Please, let him have his time.
Two points that are very clear that we need to make here, and I want to start by what Senator Kagwe was saying here. That indeed, the last point that he made on the fact that Uhuru himself was not indicted is the bedrock of the discontent that majority of Kenyans feel right now about that judgment. Because, you know, it's like asking two people to run on the same field. You say the field is uneven, but they are running on the same field. And then you have a winner eventually. And you want to say that the winner did not win because the field had ant hills and other, you know, aspects that would make it irregular. And see, he's not the one. And that's the point that Senator Kagwe was making, which is very, very important. But then, can we also affirm a few truths? First, that I want to say, without blinking, that this pursuit that you are seeing that is unending by NASA, that open the servers, do this and do that, is a ploy that they want to pursue to ensure that they don't give IEBC the time it requires to settle and the credibility necessary for them to run the elections on the 17th. That is the plot. That by continuing to insist that there is something in the server, open, it is ensuring that they continue with this theory that IEBC is not credible. There are still things they are hiding, and that's why there are people who must go. And remember, right now, today we are at on the 12th of September, waiting for an election on the 17th of October, less than 40 days then, and they are still talking about those issues. And I tell you what, you know, if there was a genuine case, and we must say this to Kenyans for them to understand, if NASA was pursuing truth, they would start very, very simply, and everybody would hear them, including everybody in this country. One, they would say, look here, we went to the elections, and at the polling station level, this is our evidence. We garnered this number of votes, and so our candidate Raila Amolo Odinga had this number of votes in all these places, and so he won the election. But this has been twisted against our numbers and figures to give this result. And so, wait a minute.
Let it finish.
If there was no election, then you'd not need to open the servers. Why do you want to open the servers? You see, prove against what? Confirm against what? Yes. You see, the starting point, if you know, he made an analogy here, saying that if you have a TV and then the TV is stolen, then just a minute.
Let him finish.
If he said that if you have a TV, you go and say, my TV was, in the first place, you must show ownership that you had a TV. And then you can claim that a TV was stolen.
Oh, come on.
I mean, if you cannot say you are the owner of a TV, how would you claim that you had a TV to be stolen? So this is what I'm saying, that what they would need to do is first convince Kenyans. Let me wrap it up. Let me wrap it up by bringing this out clearly. They can convince Kenyans by first saying that this is our evidence and our truth. We had this number of votes in these polling stations, our man won, and our election was stolen. So we want to go to the servers to contradict the truth or the lie. And then we would say, fine, bring that evidence. Ask yourself, Dibal, why is it up to today that not a single person in NASA, including the presidential candidate, has had the audacity or the bravery to stand before Kenyans and say, this is what we got in the election
Thank you.
for the presidential election.
Right.
They can't because they know they lost.
All right, just a moment. We need to wind up on it, please, very briefly.
Because logically, if somebody came and said, so these are my results, the first thing that people will say is, you are not the person who is in charge to present these results. We have a law. Who is responsible for presenting the results? I can't come and say, oh, here is my results. Jubilee immediately will say, who are you presenting these results as? If Jubilee came with a set of results and said, these are results, who are you presenting these results as? Because we have a law. And there's only one organ, IEBC, that should do that. And we're simply asking IEBC, tell us the scenario. These two presidential candidates all had votes. This is the chicken and this is the hen that has been stolen. So but there is a hen that has been stolen. Hold on, Dibal.
Yes.
There is a hen that has been stolen. And we are saying we want to know, at the end of the day, who did what? IEBC is in charge of that, and IEBC is not alone. 86 says clearly it has to do this in openness for everybody to see. The information is in the server. So what we should be hearing, Dibal, the argument should be, why can't we open up the server? It should not be, what do you expect to see in it? No. Don't ask us, what do you expect to see? We want to see what are because there was a reason that server was put there. And there's no law that says that the server is a secret thing. It's not that we're asking for something exceptional out of the world. We're not. So the same way, an equivalent of a server is an equivalent of going to count these votes. We're the ones who said we want to go electronic. We thought this would serve us. So we want to go to the server, open up the server. Why are we preempting? Why are we preempting what we'll find in the server and the arguments therein? Why don't we get step by step, open the server, find out what's up, and then raise the questions after we open the server?
Just a moment.
The ballot papers inside the ballot box.
All right, thank you. All right, Dr. Zani, okay, I need to bat in. Just a moment.
The man who voted
all right, Dr. Zani.
Put their vote in a server.
Okay.
Put their vote inside the ballot box.
The ballot boxes can be
so
the server algorithms cannot be
the
changed.
evidence of the ballot boxes.
Just a moment, Dr. Zani.
We can't go around in circles saying parties make a point. Party IEBC is in charge.
Just a moment. Okay.
Let IEBC give us the way forward. Open those servers. We see the reality of what. And then we know what is happening. Otherwise, we'll debate around the servers forever.
Thank you. Just a moment.
No.
All right, Dr. Miguna.
Let me tell you this, Deba. The body conducting elections, like Dr. Zania says, is the IEBC. That is the body that conducts elections.
But we did not
Jubilee, not NASA, not Miguna. The IEBC came with figures that the court said are fake.
Yes.
They invalidated them. So you cannot keep going back to those figures. Jubilee wants people to believe that the fake figures are real. They are not real. They are imaginary. And they were created but probably with their complicity. I don't know. The fact is that they were created.
Including the ballot.
This is very important. Papers. This is very important.
In the ballot boxes.
Just let him finish, please.
They keep on saying that it is NASA that is asking for the servers to be open. I'm asking for the servers to be open.
Kenyans.
And I'm not NASA. We are Kenyans. The court has already ordered.
It's NASA that went to court, my friend.
Please.
Let him finish, please, Mwatani.
So what if NASA went to court? The fact is,
they're the ones who made the demand.
If we were comfortable,
all right, one person at a time, please.
Yes, please
just let him finish.
The court ordered IEBC to give access with the option of printing of all the logs and to be able to see the transactions on those servers.
Okay.
That order was not complied with.
That we've talked about.
So, no, but we can't talk about the fact that it is the option of the IEBC to do this or Jubilee opposes or whatever. Now, the question I want to ask is this.
No, let him finish.
Let me tell you this.
Yeah, let him finish.
Why did Jubilee not agree, consent to the opening of the server if they were interested in transparency? They opposed that.
But Jubilee
they opposed the delivery of the logs.
Jubilee
they opposed the delivery. No, please. They opposed the delivery of GPRS addresses of the Kim's kits so that Kenyans will know where each kit was.
Who, Jubilee or IEBC?
Jubilee.
No,
they did.
Jubilee has no.
If you read at the report that was delivered to the court by the registrar of the Supreme Court, you will see Jubilee saying that they don't want that. They don't want the information.
Dibal, Jubilee is not a custodian.
Just a moment. Let him finish. No, let him finish.
Let me finish my submission. What I'm saying is this.
But you're just meandering.
Every step of the way, each request that was made, Jubilee sided with the IEBC, which means that Jubilee either already knew what was there, they knew it was fake, or they didn't care because the IEBC in committing the illegality.
No, thank you. We are wrapping up this. No. We need to move on. Thank you. No. We're just stuck in a rut. No, thank you. No. Thank you. Miguna is concluding. We are moving on.
Saying this. One fact. This is not about NASA. This is not about Jubilee. This is not about the Supreme Court. This is about democracy, good governance, and the rule of law.
Thank you. Baseline, we'll leave it at that. Right now, we want to see what the president said yesterday in State House, and of course, because we're strapped for time, and of course, we have this particular clip for you. We are going to the clip.
Hata Raila akichaguliwa, niambie atatawala nchi ya Kenya kwa njia gani? How? Leo hii in the National Assembly, with 220 something, we are only now 13 members shy of a 2/3 majority, meaning we can even change the constitution of Kenya without a single member of NASA. Hata akichaguliwa, we have the opportunity in parliament within 2 months, 3 months. Tumemtoa.
Remember, President Obama ran the United States without the majority of his party in the houses, and there was no threat of impeachment or attempt to impeach him. You cannot, as Justice Madan once said, as a driver, drive in anticipation of an accident. Then you will not drive.
Rais tunasema ya kwamba kitu ni vile unaitisha. Na wengine wetu tunajua kuitisha, tunyimwi. Na wewe unajua kuomba. Na kitu ni vile unaomba. Na hii kitu wewe unajua kuomba sana na kujua. Hii kitu hii ya siasa ya kiti ya urais utaomba na utapata.
Unajua watu wengine wanasema hawa jamaa wanaenda huko kutafuta kazi, hawa jamaa walianguka. Wengine ambao tunasemekana tulianguka rais. Mimi mwenyewe nilipata kura 1115. Na yes, nilikubali nilishindwa. Lakini hawa watu walinipigia kura. Nitaweza kuwahimiza kutoka kesho na nitaenda mashinani. Mimi hapana mtu ya town wa kupigia hizo kura.
Na Raila na Kalonzo saa ile wanaenda kuomba kura, si wanatafuta kazi? Sasa kutafuta kazi hapa ama kutafuta kazi pale, iko shida gani kutafuta kazi? Si kila mtu anatafuta kazi, hata sisi tunatafuta kazi. Kwani iko shida gani mtu akitafuta kazi?
All right, and of course, we want to look at that particular statement from the president. And of course, we are not saying in any way those are remarks of a dictator, but we shudder as a country when maybe people can use numerical strength in government to run roughshod over the constitution. If the president says that, of course, we can actually change the constitution, it is at our own behest to do that. I want to just get reaction from Senator Wamatangi. Rolling off the president's tongue.
Thank you for
that particular statement.
Yeah, you know, I had two issues, but let me go. I'll go to that one, but make a final statement on the last one. I wanted to make a final statement, and I wanted to state that the reason when you are going to a court of law to file a petition, an election petition, the reason why one opts, for example, like in this case by NASA, to go for IEBC and not to pursue the result is because of this.
Are we responding to that?
He's going back to...
Just a minute.
He can't come out of...
We stop for time.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I'm making my statement. You gave me the platform. I'm saying the reason that one goes to IEBC and not to pursue the election result is because, you know, at the platform of pursuing an election result, you'll be required to provide evidence of numbers. And when you go for IEBC, you can go for the stories of irregularities. But then on this story that you have raised about the utterances that were made, or the discussion that was there, I want you to look at Article 145 of the Constitution. And it is the reality That's Article 145. That indeed it is true. You can impeach a president when a member of the National Assembly moves that motion supported by a third of the members of the National Assembly. And upon concurrence and voting, that motion will move to the Senate, and upon agreement by the Speaker of the Senate, that process will then move.
That is not my question. That is not my question.
But that's a discussion. Let me answer the question the way I know it.
No, my question is...
You have asked about what was being discussed. What was the question then?
The question is this, right? In light of the Constitution, even if you have the numerical strength, are you just having the carte blanche to change the Constitution the way you want to, as the President is alluding to?
So there's a point I was going to get to. I don't know how you wanted me to answer it, because I cannot answer it your way, I will answer it my way.
Okay,
please, that is why I referred to the law. First, he spoke about if you are to impeach a president, what procedure do you follow? It is provided for in the Constitution, Article 145. And using 145, you can impeach a president and remove him. And the reasons for removing a president are also provided for in that article, including gross misconduct. And if, for example, in the pursuit of any other person, including Raila Odinga, to go to become the president, and he conducted himself
maybe I should rephrase my question properly.
Grossly, in a manner that suggests that he has misconducted himself, we would remove him.
Maybe it's my questioning which is wrong.
The procedure is there.
All right.
Now, on that question you're asking, whether that you just have the carte blanche to amend the Constitution, let me remind you, Dibal, that actually by the time when we gave ourselves this constitution was a negotiated document that even at the time when we promulgated it, there was an agreement all the way through that there was at least 20% of this constitution that would require to be amended in due time. If that time becomes now, it would be appropriate, and ask any Kenyan, not only on the issue of the electioneering, but also on several other issues, including the one-third gender rule, including many other issues that are there that would require to be revisited and relooked at in this Constitution.
All right.
And the procedures for amending the Constitution, including a parliamentary vote to amend a Constitution, are also provided for.
Was the President in order to make such a statement?
I mean, saying that if we wanted to amend the Constitution, we can. Why not? I've said very clearly, it is provided for here in this Constitution itself, that there is a parliamentary option for amending a Constitution. I've also said very clearly here, Dibal, other than if you want me to answer it in another way, I'm saying that actually we were in agreement as Kenyans that this document we called the Constitution 2010 of Kenya was requiring amendments to the extent of almost 20% by the time we gave it to ourselves. And so we will be ready to amend it, even if it is in Parliament,
let me come to
as
Senator
long as we have followed the law.
Thank you.
It's that simple.
No, just cover. Because also, if you may read also a book by, I think, William J. Dobson, it's called The Dictator's Learning Curve. They're saying people will use, currently, because people are coming away from that regime where they're using full throttle and running roughshod over the citizens, they'll use the institutions as well, to try and rule by dictatorship. If someone can actually even make such a statement, tip off his tongue, we don't know the mechanism of amending the Constitution, but if you can use the numerical strength to change the Constitution,
it's democracy. Let's not make a mountain out of a molehill. The truth of the matter is this: what the president, there's an election coming.
Yes.
All right. There's a presidential election on the way on the 17th of October. Okay. That's number one. It is in the context of this, of the fact that there is a presidential election coming, that the president was speaking to. Number one, what did he say? He said we have the numerical strength in Parliament, all right, to remove or to impeach, Raila if he was elected. In other words, Diba, I think what the president was alluding to is the futility, all right, is the futility of a Raila presidency. And, my friend Wetangula referred to the issue of Obama in America when he was ruling with both houses, being Republican when he was Democrat.
Yes.
And everybody knows the frustrations that he went through. It is a matter of fact, not debate, that Jubilee has 204 Jubilee and related parties, has 204 MPs in parliament. It is a matter of fact. That whether they are computer generated or Miguna generated is not the point.
All right.
The point is,
Okay,
thank you. Whether Miguna generated them or not. But the point we are trying, I think there are losers who can never see anything good in winners, and Miguna is one of them. And I agree, and I accept.
All right. Okay.
And I give him his position is his own position.
All right. Thank you.
My position is that Jubilee has a majority in parliament.
All right,
and it is a fact.
But that majority is being Martha Karua. She's moved to court to try and annul the entire elections. Not even just the presidency, which has we have that determination.
And when that happens, then we can deal with that issue at that time.
Thank you.
I can also go to court and to uphold it. I mean, let's not talk about things that are not there.
Thank you. Thank you.
What is there is the fact that the president simply expressed that Jubilee has a majority. Even if Raila were to win today, it would be very difficult for him to function. And it is a fact.
Thank you. Miguna, your parting shots. Yeah, let's begin now.
The unfortunate thing is that you played a clip, and the clip is very clear. The president did not just talk about the so-called impeachment. He said we can change the constitution. That's what he said. Why is he threatening changing the constitution? What is it is likely to change? Let me tell you what is likely to change based on what he has said before, just recently. He said he would fix the judges. So he wants to change the constitution so that he can actually even detain the judges. He can remove them.
Are you going to allow even?
Let him make his point.
He said fix.
No, just a moment. But the president, just a moment. No, we don't have time.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Dr. Zani, please.
No, let him finish.
This is a loser. They are heckling.
Why are you heckling? No, what are you about to say as well?
Dr. Zani, please. Okay.
I am.
Yeah, you will.
Listen.
Briefly.
The president threatened.
You know they're interrupting because he's saying something very
important.
Dr. Zani, please. You will get your chance.
The dignity of this.
The president threatened.
Just a moment. Okay.
The president threatened.
Just let him finish. I'll give you time. Please continue.
Our constitution comes from a history of detention without trial, including of judges, including of lawyers, including of politicians. Our constitution is derived from a history of assassinations of political opponents. Our constitution comes from a history of one-party states that were passed after the attempted coup. This man has threatened to change the constitution. The second thing is, for me, he has surrendered. He has said, even if Raila was elected, we'll impeach him. Essentially what he says, Raila is going to defeat him. But he's now threatening to impeach him. You cannot impeach if somebody does not commit.
Time is up.
No, I'm going to finish.
No.
I'm going to finish.
Your time is up.
How do you contemplate?
Your time is up.
How do you contemplate crimes that have not been committed?
Just a moment, Dr. Zani. We're done. Dr. Zani.
The biggest misdemeanor. My turn, Sasa. The biggest misdemeanor is that we are making an argument over numbers that themselves are in dispute. We don't know whether you have a 2/3 majority or a near 2/3 majority because of the process we had discussed. So unless that is certified and we know, and using the route of the servers, open these servers, and we know what is happening, then we cannot even talk about the 2/3. The first thing that came to my mind, amend what? Why are you talking about amending things? First of all, there hasn't been a negotiation. Kenyans come together, decide what they want to amend. Legislators have the power to say yes or no. Why are we making assumptions that this is going to be always a block vote? Don't these legislators have a role to make a decision and vote in the way that they perceive over issues that are going to be amended?
Momatangi, very briefly.
Yeah, I just wanted to affirm the fact that constitutional amendments are provided for in this constitution itself, so it's not way out of thought. And also let me say that it is also important, Dibal, when we debate in this panel, that we uphold a certain level of decorum and dignity.
Thank you. No. We're finishing. Just let him finish, please.
For purposes of even our viewers themselves. So that the things that we say here cannot just be seen to be saying
Senator Kagwe
under the sun that is not logical.
Senator Kagwe.
For me, I hope that the meeting that is proposed today between IEBC and both parties that are involved in the election resolves all the issues in relation to transparency. Because for us, it is so important that we win, and we win very transparently.
Thank you.
And we shall win.
Thank you very much.
emphatically.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you, and lady, thank you for coming through this morning.
Final statement.
Those are your final statements.
Why? We already
We start for
spoke.
time. No. I give you all the final statements. No. We need to wind up on this. Thank you very much for your valued company. We'll see you next Tuesday. No.